Good morning, good morning. How's it going? How's it going, everybody? Wow, what a week we had. Holy smokeroonies. We had a really good week. I gave out many different trade ideas for members, and I shared some of those with you guys as well. And those trades just rocked this week, just totally rocked. I mean, the drop in gold, the drop in silver, the drop in the euro, the drop in the pound, the rally in the US Swiss, the rally in the US CAD. I mean, we nailed it all. We nailed them all. So now we're going to be watching for some new trade signals, and I'll be posting those after I do a good review of the markets this weekend. The yearly sale ended. Okay. I told you all of July we had a sale for our yearly membership, $300 off, which locked you in at that price forever. Well, I don't know how long forever is, but as long as I'm alive and kicking. And that has now ended, okay? It ended last night. I saw somebody at 11:49 p.m. because it ended at 12 midnight. 11:49 p.m. somebody was signing up for the yearly membership. And I see a lot of you signed up for the yearly membership. So good decision. Good decision. Good decision. I think actually it was probably the best time to be signing up for the yearly membership because we're just about to unveil a new trading system. All right. This week was the introduction to this new trading signal system, but today at 9 o'clock a.m., I'm going to go in great details to discuss this new trading system. I just tweaked what we were doing and made it a little bit easier, actually a lot easier for members to follow along and to be able to locate and take trade signals. So this new trading system is ridiculous, okay? This week was just a perfect example of how accurate. I gave you the green circles, red circles. Green circles means buy, red circles means sell. I gave you that. I gave you the direction that price was going to take. And, the trade signals happen in between those areas, okay? And so we're going to go into that in full detail today in about 45 minutes at 9 a.m. So much is coming our way. So much is coming your way. It's just ridiculous. So congrats to all those that made a decision to sign up for the yearly. And yeah, so let's get into things. So I'm looking here at the S&P 500. I'm looking at the NASDAQ. I'm looking at the Dow Jones. And all I'm seeing is major moves to the downside. And if you've been following us for quite some time, you'll know that I've been warning people about a potential drop, okay? In fact, members knew that we were reaching areas that we were likely going to be seeing a drop from because price was overextended, all right? When we take a look at the structures that were being created by the institutions, price was way up there, okay? A perfect example is the S&P when we look at the monthly time frame, okay? We see this structure here, right? We study a lot of structure in our classes, and there's a reason why. Because the banks are creating the structure, okay? And so they tend to keep it very uniform, all right? So we have a trend line here, an ascending trend line. It starts here. The second point is here, and it extends, all right? So if you see the distance between how far price went away from the trend line and you see how far price went away from the trend line, you can see that they're both very similar, okay? Price comes down, tests this area, long wick, and then again, we're back up there. Now, as you can see, we're around that same amount of space away from the ascending trend line. So it's more likely than not going to head to the downside just simply because of that, all right? Now, there's other factors that will actually cause price to drop, like demand zones being removed and supply coming in place of that. Why is that so important? Well, it is important because we look at the charts as a map, okay? And depending on what direction the cars are driving on, that is telling us what direction price is likely going to be heading in. You know, if a car gets on the on-ramp onto the highway and they're heading south on the highway, you know, what direction do you think they're going to? They're heading south. So we look at the charts and we're looking at the charts as a map, okay? If they're coming in with institutional buying on a daily time frame and then on a weekly time frame, then we're expecting those weekly and daily time frames to hold. All right, we're expecting demand to come in, buying to come in. If price does retrace, they retrace down to those buying areas, they buy again, and we see price head back higher. This is how it works, okay? If there's going to be short-term selling, that means short-term buying has to be taken out first, okay? They can't be holding short-term buying zones, and then you have an expectation that price is going to go higher. It doesn't work that way. So when we look at the monthly time frame, yeah, we can see price came down. We called the exact bottom of price here. I think it was April 27th, where I wrote a post on our blog saying that this is the bottom of the market. And it's been nothing but up ever since. And how did I know that? Well, because we were contacting an institutional buying zone, all right? And we had the institutional trend line that we were watching. Price comes down to demand, all right at the ascending trend line. It was a no-brainer, okay? So price went up, and now we see a big move to the upside. So what is next? Well, let's look here. This is a really important chart right here, okay? Because this is the daily time frame, and this is telling us, indicating to us whether or not the banks are going to be buying short term or not. And so we want to look for institutional buying zones, right? And we found one back here. We had one here, we had one here, and we have one here. And as you can see, as price was rallying upwards, they came down, dropped price into demand, and then rallied up. They brought it back down into demand again and rallied up. They created demand, brought it into demand twice, and rallied up. All right, then they created demand again. Do you see what's happening right here? This is critical. Critical. Most people are not seeing this. You guys are seeing this because I'm sharing it with you, but most people have no clue about this, okay? So what's happened is short-term buying has now been taken out. So what's happening? Well, they're not buying, okay? That's the thing. And so they're going to be focusing on selling. How far are they going to sell down to? We don't know. We can't predict exactly what they're going to do before they do it live time, okay? If price was reacting from an institutional supply area, then I'd be able to tell you with great amount of accuracy that they're going to sell and where price is going to head down to. But right now, they're removing buying zones. So they're in live time selling, okay? They're selling as we speak. So we have to see what happens to see if there's going to be any supply zones that price could rally up to continue the selling. But the key point here is that they are selling, okay? This is the key point, that they are selling, not buying. And I suspect that what's going to happen is price is going to likely continue selling, all right? This is what typically happens. If they're going to come into the market and they're going to remove their short-term buying, what tends to happen is they continue selling. But they continue selling until what? They will continue selling until medium-term buying zones are contacted, okay? This is how it works, right? So they come in with significant buying down on the charts, okay? And that causes price to want to, over the longer period or medium term, to rally up. But then eventually they're going to take some profits, okay? Take some profits. Could it be small profits or larger profits, right? So if it was short-term profits, they would retrace price to daily demand zones and then continue buying, and then there we go, right? If it's larger profits, then we would see larger moves to the downside until bigger areas of buying are contacted again, all right? So I don't want to go into too much more detail because I'm giving you a lot here. I'm giving you a lot to think about, and I'm giving you a lot in terms of the knowledge that we teach here at White Oak Trading University. So, but this is something to watch. I'm telling you this now because I want you to see how things unfold so that you see exactly why I'm telling you what I'm telling you. So what's likely going to happen is the media is going to start telling you the markets are dropping because of this and that. And I've already given you some examples of what the media is already starting to tell retail traders. But you look at these articles and you look at the pictures that they use, and you see traders with their hands in their head, with their head in their hands. You always see this, right? It's the same story. I've been trading for 13 years, and it's the same story. I mean, it's the same playbook over and over again. And the funny thing is that I look at this and I'm like, does anybody else see how ridiculous this is? Like they continually do the same thing over and over again. So it gets to a point where it's just like it's laughable. And this is why I'm pointing it out, because what you're going to see as price drops is a lot of articles scaring people into believing that the market's going to drop really heavily. Okay, because remember, they don't want to explain to you that the institutions are taking profits on positions here at these highs. They don't want to explain that to you, because then they'll basically be letting you know that it's the institutions that are controlling price. They don't want you to think that way. They want you to think that the markets are random and it's just a big group of traders from all sorts of institutions and hedge funds and banks and private firms and retail traders all mixed together, all making random decisions based on economic factors. Sorry, that's not the case. Institutions are taking profits. We know this for a fact because when you follow the buying and selling zones that they create in the markets, you can trade and you can be profitable. And when you know how they accumulate positions, you can call the exact bottom of the market. Okay. So we're going to be watching for big drops. We're going to be watching for the news to explain the drops, because the news is always there to explain the drops in ways so that you don't understand what's really going on. And when price gets near the area where the banks want to start buying, that's when the biggest fears come out. I mean, I remember back April 27th, I believe it was, when I made the post about the market reaching its bottom. One of the analysts, I think it was for J.P. Morgan, I can't remember, J.P. Morgan or Goldman Sachs, one of the two, they came out and they're like, price could drop 20% more than this. You think this is a big drop? This isn't anything. It could drop 20% more. And I'm like, oh my God. Somebody that's highly respected comes out and says that it could drop 20% or more right as the banks want to start majorly accumulating the market. I was like, wow. So you wait and watch to see as price gets lower and lower, the articles are going to become more intense. The fear mongering is going to become more intense. And right as the banks start buying, that's when the headlines are going to be the worst, because that's when they want everybody to offload their positions. Because remember, at the beginning stages, only some people are offloading positions, right? Some people are like calling the brokers, what do I do? And they're like, hey, it's just a little bit of a drop, man. Pullbacks are normal, right? You hear all this professional jargon, right? Pullbacks are normal, man. Pullbacks are good. In fact, if you want to start buying some more, this would be a good opportunity. This is a good, nice pullback over here. Yeah, but I don't know if this is just a small pullback before it heads higher, or if it's going to be a bigger drop. No, no, no. This is a healthy pullback, right? Because they have no clue. Price is just ripping through a short-term buying zone. Because if they knew, they'd say, I'm not buying now. There's no way. You wait until supply comes into play, right? You wait till supply is formed. You want to be a buyer? You wait until they prove it to you that they're going to be buying again. And how would that happen? By them removing the selling areas, right? The supply zones. Once they remove it, then you know that they're buying again. Otherwise, you wait for pullbacks into higher medium term or higher term buying zones. It's very logical, but obviously most people have zero clue about these concepts. So, could some of them be buying right now? Sure. And then when price drops a little bit more, they might buy a little bit more. When it drops a little bit more and they read the headlines and it's saying this and that, and we could see a bigger drop and 20% more and all this stuff, that's when they freak out. And that's when the major selling comes into play. And that's exactly when the banks want to do their major buying, right? So to do major buying, you need major selling taking place. So I'm going to be watching for that because this is in the works, okay? It's playing out. They just took out a buying area. Do I know that they're going to just do a fake breakout to the downside and then reverse? No, I don't. I'm going to be watching to see if they create some nice selling zones. Right now, I'm not seeing any real evidence to support that there's some major selling up here. They're just removing some buying zones. It could be selling on lower time frames. We're going to be checking that out later on. But I'm going to be watching this one very closely because if this drops, boys and girls, I'll tell you right now, there's going to be an incredible opportunity to buy this market, buying stocks, buying the market. I mean, last thing I'll leave you with is that we've been doing analysis on the stock market, okay? We were going through major stocks and we saw major evidence suggesting that there was going to be drops. We set major alerts at major institutional demand areas. I am hoping and praying that this market drops because if it does, it's going to bring some incredible opportunities to pick up some really nice stocks at really good prices with some nice targets way above price. Do I think it's going to go all-time highs again? Of course it is. Okay, it's setting up for that. So we're going to wait for the signal. We're going to wait for price to drop. We're going to wait for the long signal. And when we get the long signal, I'll be letting our members know about it, okay? I'll let you guys know afterwards. I'll give you some hints, but if you want the full throttle signal, I'm giving it to members only, okay? This is what people pay us the membership fees for, okay? So exclusive information for members, but you're getting so much right now. I'm giving you a warning, okay? If you're thinking about adding to your portfolio, I wouldn't do it at this point. This would be bad, okay? Bad idea. Don't do it now. All right, so pay attention to this, okay? Because this is happening across the board. It's happening with the NASDAQ. It's happening with the Dow Jones. It's happening across the board. So be careful, be watchful, and stick around with us, all right? Follow us on Telegram, if you don't like Telegram, on Twitter. If you don't like Twitter, Instagram. But if you want live updates, follow us on our Telegram channel. We'd love to have you there. And follow us for a while. If you're new, welcome. Follow us for a while. See what we offer. If you want more, come and become a member. All right? That's it, ladies and gents. I'll let you go. You take care. Have a good one. Hope this was helpful. And if it was helpful, hit the like down below. All right? That little heart thing, just hit that thing. I appreciate it. It helps get the word out to other investors and traders so that they know what's taking place. Okay? Let's not let the banks fool these guys. Let's help out. I need you to help share and like. That way it can get out to more people like you. All right? Thanks for joining. Love you all. You take care. Have a good weekend. We'll talk to you soon.